Welcome back to my channel. I'm Neil Chase, author of Iron Dogs and writer-director of Spin the Wheel. And today, let's talk about writer's block. You know, that feeling when you're trying to write your next masterpiece and your brain just shuts down and you end up staring at a blank page, wondering where your inspiration went. But here's the thing, there's always a way through. In today's video, I'm sharing 10 mistakes people make trying to beat writer's block. And I'll also point out 10 proven tips to help you get back on track. So grab that popcorn and let's get started. Now, writer's block isn't just not feeling like writing. It's when you want to write, but can't. Your ideas feel stuck, your words won't flow, and no matter how hard you try, the blank page just stares back at you. Sound familiar? The worst part is, it can affect each one of us in different ways. Maybe you don't know where to start. You have ideas, but they feel overwhelming or scattered. Or you're stuck in the middle. Your story was moving along just fine, but suddenly you have no idea what happens next. Or everything just feels wrong. You second guess every word, convinced that it's not good enough. Or worst of all, you've run out of ideas. No inspiration, no motivation, just nothing. Not everyone agrees, of course. Like Terry Pratchett once said, there's no such thing as writer's block. That was invented by people in California who couldn't write. But that was just his humorous way of reiterating what Ray Bradbury once said. You only fail if you stop writing. And that's where the good news comes in. Every writer, yes, every single writer goes through writer's block. And the even better news? There are ways to break through it. So with that in mind, let's look at 10 things you might be doing wrong when it comes to writer's block, as well as the 10 proven strategies to get your creativity flowing again. The first big mistake people make is trying to tackle the whole story at once. You sit down and think, okay, time to write the first 10 chapters. But that can be so overwhelming, it can quickly paralyze you. Instead, start small. Stephen King recommends setting a daily goal, like writing 300 words or one paragraph. Think of it like chipping away at a big block of marble. You might not see a great deal of progress right away, but sooner than you think, the shape will reveal itself. For example, Andy Weir wrote The Martian one scene at a time, focusing on small, manageable chunks. So don't worry about the big picture. Just take one step at a time, and you'll always be moving in the right direction. And here's something else that doesn't work. Staying glued to the same spot, staring at the screen, and hoping inspiration magically appears. If your desk feels like a creativity dead zone, then move. J.K. Rowling famously wrote Harry Potter in a cafe. And for good reason. A change of scenery, even just working in a different room, can do wonders. Or take a walk, let your thoughts wander, have a workout, do some chores around the house. Movement and increased blood circulation can trigger creativity in ways that sitting and staring at a screen never will. Another mistake is not knowing that perfectionism is your worst enemy. If you're obsessing over making every word perfect, well, you'll never get anything done. I've known writers who have worked on the same script or story for years, never able to finish it because they'd second-guess themselves and keep going back over the things they'd already written, needing those completed pages to be perfect before giving themselves the permission to move on. Maybe Margaret Atwood put it best when she said, "If I waited for perfection, I would never write a word." Instead, I say embrace the chaos. Give yourself the permission to write badly. There's a reason why we call the first draft a vomit pass, because it's not good, but it is a finished draft. Guillermo del Toro says to just start, even if what you write is messy or downright bad. Write the worst dialogue you can think of, or create a hilariously over-the-top scene. With every word you write, it becomes easier to keep going, even if it sucks, because you can always revise it later. Remember, progress is better than perfection. Many writers also hate being constrained and want the story to take them where it wants. Now, while that's admirable, it doesn't always pan out. Think of going on a road trip without a roadmap, or even any idea of where you're going in the first place. You might get somewhere worthwhile in the end, or more likely, you'll just find yourself lost in the middle of nowhere. So avoid falling into the trap of trying to think of something out of thin air. If your mind is blank, forcing creativity can just frustrate you. Instead, give yourself some structure and constraints. Create an outline of the main story beats. Give yourself a roadmap. That way, even if you decide to take an alternate route or a side road, you can always find your way back if you get lost. Or take it a step further, like George R.R. Martin's what if questions. Like, what if dragons came back after 1,000 years? What if power struggles played out like chess? You can use these what if questions to help create the beats in your roadmap. Or you can try writing prompts like, what's in the locked box that your character finds? Or set a silly rule like writing a scene with only 3-word sentences. Bottom line, constraints make it easier to focus. Another common mistake is to sit in frustration thinking, I have to create something completely original. But here's the secret. Even the greats borrow ideas and inspiration. You've probably heard the concept that all the original stories have already been told. Well, that can be quite disheartening for any writer. But what's not often said is that each person can tell the same story in an original way. So instead of staring at the blank page, revisit your favorite books, movies, or TV shows. Jim Jarmusch said, nothing is original. Steal from anywhere that resonates with inspiration or fuels your imagination. Devour old films, new films, music, books, paintings, photographs, poems, dreams, random conversations, architecture, bridges, street signs, trees, clouds, bodies of water, light, and shadows. Select only things to steal from that speak directly to your soul. It's the same reason why Quentin Tarantino watches movies when he's stuck, to remind himself why he loves storytelling. So why shouldn't you do the same? Watch a comfort movie, reread a favorite chapter, or even dive into fan fiction. It's not about copying. It's about finding what drew you to your story in the first place. Next, don't get caught up thinking you have to stick with one approach. For example, if writing on a laptop isn't working, don't just stare harder at the screen. Too many people get so used to one way of doing things that they don't even consider alternatives. Instead, switch things up. If you typically write with a blue pen on a white pad, try a black pen on a yellow pad. If you only outline with a beat sheet, try flashcards instead. Draw your characters, make a mind map, use creative writing prompts, or create a physical map of your whole story world. Or even try writing by hand if you're used to typing on a keyboard. James Cameron famously sketches his ideas before writing scripts, and it helps him unlock new creative paths. Sometimes a change in format is all you need to get going again. And trying to solve everything in your own head can trap you in a loop. You ever get stuck and think, I just need to think harder? Spoiler, that rarely works. Some writers hate sharing ideas before they're sure of everything they want to say, while others are paranoid about having their ideas stolen. So they sit in silence, alone with their thoughts and getting more frustrated by the hour. Instead, talk it out. J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis had a writers group where they'd bounce ideas off each other. This works wonders. I've been part of writers groups, and I have people I trust with my work to critique it and brainstorm with. Sharing ideas and feedback can do wonders for everyone in the group. So find a friend or a writing buddy and share your story. Most writers have been in the same boat as you at one point or another, so why not find out what worked for them? The act of putting your thoughts into words out loud can reveal solutions you didn't even know you had. Believe it or not, even talking out loud to yourself can help, especially when it comes to dialogue. And it's even better when you can bounce those same words off of someone you trust. Next, silence is great for concentration, but sometimes it can be too much of a good thing. You ever tried writing in complete silence only to feel like your brain is too quiet? While it's our default setting when it comes to writing, total silence can sometimes amplify writer's block instead of dispel it. Instead, use music or soundscapes to set the mood. I've used everything from Hans Zimmer's soundtrack to bluesy rock to classical music to the sound of pattering rain on an empty street to create an atmosphere while writing. And you can do the same for your story. Build a playlist for specific characters or scenes. Tie it somehow to the genre you're working in or the overall mood or tone you're trying to establish. Or even try background sounds, rainstorms, forest noises, or even coffee shop chatter. You'll be amazed how much it helps to put you further into your story and characters. And the added bonus is that the music and soundscapes will keep you in your seat, providing a welcome distraction from those dead spots while you sort out your story. Another common mistake writers make is to treat their characters like chess pieces, moving them around without really understanding them. This can be especially true when it comes to villains or characters who behave in ways unfamiliar to the writer's real-life experiences. So they take the easy road and make surface-level decisions for these characters. And it can often result in the writer not really knowing what more to write beyond that. Instead, take a page out of the actor's book and try becoming your character. Aaron Sorkin paces the room and speaks his dialogue out loud to get into his characters' heads. Becoming the character can do wonders for understanding their motivations, quirks, mannerisms, and even ways of talking. Whether it's a hero or villain, this is sure to be a positive experience. You might not like that character, but you'll understand them and their voice 1,000,000 times better. So the next time you're stuck, imagine your character walking into your room. What would they do? What would they say? How would they act? Acting it out can make them feel real. And if it feels real to you, it'll feel real to your audience. And finally, one of the biggest mistakes writers make is that they force themselves to keep going no matter what, exhausting themselves in the process. Yes, they might be writing, but here's what doesn't work. Forcing yourself to push through no matter how tired you are. Burnout doesn't lead to good writing. It leads to frustration and even more writer's block. Instead, step away. Agatha Christie said her best ideas came while washing dishes. Hilary Mantel said, if you get stuck, get away from your desk. Take a walk, take a bath, go to sleep. Make a pie, draw, listen to music, meditate, exercise. Whatever you do, don't just stick there scowling at the problem. So when you take a break, whether it's folding laundry, exercising, or even napping, you let your brain work in the background. One of my favorite ways of overcoming writer's block is going to the gym. Not only am I getting healthier, but my mind clears up with the endorphin rush and mental break. And more often than not, the ideas will come, especially when I'm not looking for them. So there you go. 10 mistakes people make when trying to overcome writer's block, and 10 alternative tips that are proven to work. Remember, everyone gets stuck sometimes, but what matters is that you keep going. Like Chuck Palahniuk once said, the problem with writer's block isn't that you can't write, it's that you can't write well. So write poorly, and continue to write poorly until you can write better. And that's the beauty of writing. The more you do it, the better you'll get. The key, like anything worthwhile in life, is persistence. So go out and write something amazing. But hey, these are just my 2 cents. Give me yours. Let me know in the comments below which of these strategies are you excited to try. And do you have a surefire tip for overcoming writer's block when it hits you? And if you're looking for some extra inspiration of your own, click the links below. Check out my horror novel Iron Dogs, my thriller Spin the Wheel, out now on Tubi. And as always, if you're looking for more unique storytelling tips that take your fiction to the next level, click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with the latest content. Until next time, stay creative.